can talk about this question. So this is my other question. Are you recording now? Okay. So what was the overall sentiment towards people of other nationalities at that time? So like, was there a lot of suspicion or hysteria? People were kind of going through their normal everyday lives?
I was not aware of anything.
Okay.
I would think some of that was the fact that I lived in an area, we drew from San Marino, but there weren't foreigners.
Mm-hmm.
Now, from South Pasadena, more the working class, I remember there was one black girl in my high school, only one. I don't recall if we had any Mexicans. I'm sure we did. Italians, Germans, I don't know. We didn't distinguish between people.
It wasn't kind of on your mind, suspicion?
No, not at all.
Okay.
My parents, I think, were, because evidently before that, when I was more in grade school, I was the middle child, and they always said the middle child had problems. Of course, I didn't think I was a problem at all, but they were thinking about sending me away to boarding school down on the coast at San Clemente, I think it was, which is by Santa Barbara.
Yeah.
And then after Pearl Harbor, and we had moved to San Marino, they didn't want me away from home, and particularly on the coast, because at that time, we were still afraid that the Japanese were going to land on the West Coast. And they did, they bombed at San Onofre, which was, which was by Santa Barbara, someplace in that vicinity.
Okay.
And then also they sent over fire bombs, incendiary bombs, here in Oregon. Did you know that? Have you been down to Fort, what's it called on there? Fort Clatsop? Not Fort Clatsop, that's Lewis and Clark.
Yeah.
What's the one Fort? It's down at Astoria on the coast.
I don't know.
Yeah,
But I
and
didn't know that they did that, really?
Yes, yes, and the Japanese had sent, they have a museum in there, basically the Civil War era, but they do have some things on World War II, because the Japanese were hoping to set the hills on fire, the mountains on fire. And so, yeah, there was one bomb that landed, and then some man, and I think his two kids, that were out after the war, or shortly, or during, I don't know, because I didn't live in Oregon, I lived in California. But they picked up the bomb, and somebody was killed from it, but not from, but don't quote me on that.
This story's floating around.
Yeah. But there were those two that had happened from submarines. So my parents didn't want me away from home. And I can remember once, shortly after we had moved to San Marino, and we had an upstairs deck off of one of the bedrooms. And, it was half the size of this deck. So it was 16 by 16, let's say. And we were out there one night, and they had all of these searchlights. Have you ever seen searchlights when they would have a new movie that would come out, a preview?
Yeah, and then it's in the,
those
in
big,
the sky. Yeah, exactly.
Well, those were the types of lights they used to find planes. You've seen pictures of in England, in London during World War II with the lights going after the planes and things. Well, this one night in Long Beach, all of these lights were going, and you could hear the tracer, the fire, the anti-aircraft guns were shooting up there. And they never did find out what it was.
Was it maybe they don't know if it was actually a plane or...
No, no, they never found anything. But our friends, because we spent our summers down in Long Beach, and they had down there, they had found shells from the anti-aircraft guns, or something that had fallen back to Earth. There was some that had done that from this night that they were there. But they think probably what happened at maybe one of these balloons, because they used to have weather balloons that would go up in the air to keep the planes from coming over the defense plants and air factory. What am I trying to think? The air, where they would build airplanes.
Yeah, the factories.
Yeah. And so they had these big balloons, and then also they would send up weather balloons that would go up to determine what the weather was. That was something different. But they had the big balloons that were filled with helium that they would fly, would keep anchored to the ground, so the planes could not fly low to bomb the airplane factories and things like that. So they think maybe one of those balloons broke loose And somebody had thought maybe something or other. But the story after that was, well, all the Germans would have to do, or the Japanese, send over one plane, and all the Angelinos, as they were called, from Los Angeles, would kill themselves on the highway trying to get out of town.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
That's before the way it looks now. So, true or not, who knows?
No, stories
that was the
might have
story.
happened, might have not.
Yeah.
Is it still recording?
Ask questions.
Okay, next question. Next question. So, I asked about...
I know what happened in downtown Los Angeles.
What happened?
Because that's where the Japanese were. And they ran these businesses in downtown Los Angeles. And they were very successful. But now they were all put in these concentration camps.
Yeah.
The Japanese were all
that's
taken
right.
out. Yeah. And we didn't have any Japanese around where I lived. So we're not affected by it. But I know when you'd go into downtown Los Angeles before the war, when we first moved there in 1940 and first part of 41 before it came along, you'd see the Japanese, but then all the Negroes moved in. And now excuse it, but it's true, all the Japanese have kept everything so clean and nice and fixed up, and it all became more like slum area. The 3-4 years of the war.
And then the Japanese would come back and their homes are all taken over.
Well, this is their businesses I'm talking about,
the businesses.
of downtown Los Angeles. I never was in any of their home areas, so I can't speak for that.
Okay.
But it was their businesses that the black people had taken over.
So...
And they didn't have the same cleanliness
Yeah.
that the Japanese were brought up
kind
with.
of different style of taking care of things.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
So I guess did your dad have any businessmen friends that were Japanese? Or?
Well, they were all shipped out.
Right.
So if he did, they weren't around. No, and I wasn't aware of any Japanese people, kids. Never had them.
Okay.
Because my schooling was right during the war.
Right.
Yeah. So I graduated from high school in 1944, so I also was in college for a year that the war was still going on.
Yeah, but the war was almost over by then.
No, not till the summer of 45. See, the Japanese didn't surrender. The Germans surrendered in, what was it, June of 45, and the Japanese didn't surrender until August.
Oh, August.
Late
okay.
August, I think it was, yeah. Yeah, 'cause we were still down at the beach in the summer. Oh, another sidebar about things for the war. We had a boat trailer, and they were asking everybody to any rubber. We needed rubber because I guess they could remelt it down and make tires. So we took the tires off of our boat trailer, and then when we'd have to launch our boat in the summer, at the beginning of the summer and the end of the summer, we'd wheel the trailer over about, say 10 blocks on just the rims.
Oh my god.
So we didn't have any rubber tires.
Wow. And then, but
Yeah.
your car still, you still
Cars
had
we had,
car,
yeah, but we couldn't drive very far.
And you
so.
couldn't change your tires at all.
No. No, I don't think you could buy new. I don't know. We never bought new tires that I recall.
Since you didn't go far, I guess.
No.
Not a lot of gas.
No, if you were out of tires, I guess that you rolled. I don't know.
Good thing that didn't happen.
Yeah. Okay. More of the question.
More questions. Let's see. How about this one? So you're talking a little bit about the newsreels and the movies.
Yes.
And then, so how did the media portray the war at that time? So the radio, you had a television maybe?
Oh, no. Television didn't come out. We got our first television in 1954. 53, I think it was.
Okay.
But I was televised in 1935. I
Really?
sang in the Hollywood Bowl.
Wow, how is that? What was that for?
Children's choir and we practiced at the Hollywood Presbyterian Church.
Ah.
I was in grade school, and the minister came along, or their choir director, and said, "There's somebody here that can't carry a tune." Of course, I knew it was me. Talking.
I know,
Before the war.
okay.
Keep going, anyhow.
But back to the media portrayal. So I guess radio and newspaper.
The radio. We had the radio. Yeah, radio and newspaper.
So was the portrayal of the war, did they portray it as we were winning, we were losing? Was it accurate, do you think? Or was it a little swayed?
I had no way of knowing if it was accurate or not. We had no way. How would we know?
Probably wouldn't, unless you were right there. Yeah.
No, you had no way of knowing. And the boys that would come back from the service, Paul was wounded, and he only knew that one Guadalcanal thing. They didn't have overall pictures.
Right.
And so we relied upon Ernie Pyle and, okay, next question.
No, it's good, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So then, how about, so then in the movies, because you said you watched the
Newsreel.
Yeah. So was that sort of like what you see in television today, breaking news, this is what's happening, or is it just an overall storyline of the war?
They would send home newsreel tapes, and we would get them in our movie theaters about 2 weeks later, and it would come on, and I forget what it would say, something, it would, you knew it was a newsreel from the war, but, we took we thought it was fact.
Yeah.
We didn't know if it was or not.
It probably was. Maybe.
Well, they weren't embedded troops like we have now. I remember when the Iraqi war started. You remember that?
Yeah.
No, you were a baby, probably.
Really? Yeah, actually.
It was when I had it was about 12 years ago. She was 5.
Yeah.
Okay, but they had embedded news people that went in with the troops when they first went into Iraq. And I can remember being fascinated by that, watching that on television, because I'd never seen that before.
Yeah, because in the World War II, they weren't.
No, they'd be back behind the lines, and they'd get reports, and but anyhow.
Yeah, okay. And then the movies and the television, not television, the movie theater. So how were the movies like? What were the movies about?
I was just reading about a Capra movie that during World War II, he was asked to make movies that were they were considered called propaganda movies, but he didn't feel they were. They were the reasons why we were fighting, and every service person was required to see his movies on trying to build up patriotism.
Yeah.
Why are we out here giving our lives for what are we giving it for? What's the reason? So they would show, I think, atrocities. We didn't know about the camps, the Holocaust in those days.
Oh, really? That wasn't in...
Oh, no.
What?
No. It wasn't until these camps were liberated at World War II that we began to find out what had happened. Oh, there was no.
So I guess maybe like the public might have been a little confused. Why are we in Germany if they didn't know about
No, I think the boys, we were a very patriotic country in those days, unlike what it is today. People were thinking of the good of the masses, the good of everybody, not so much gimme. I think today, haven't they called it the gimme generation?
Oh yeah, the millennials, yeah.
Yeah, the gimme generation. And it was a safe country. You could leave your doors open at night. We were kids and we could walk around at midnight and our parents never worried about us.
Oh yeah.
And so it was much more people were patriotic to start with. So it wasn't the kind of country we have today. Anyhow, what was your question again?
Another question. How about, so what was the scariest moment of the war for you? I know you weren't obviously in the front lines, but at home, was there any moment where you
Probably standing on the porch watching the tracer bullets go up with the searchlights. We didn't know what was going to happen and whether the Japanese were going to land. I wasn't scared because my parents weren't scared. If they were, they kept it to themselves. And they had forethought. They knew the war was coming, so they had bought cases of food. I don't know, did I tell you this already?
No, not yet.
Yeah, Mom had bought cases of canned peaches and peas and huge boxes of soap flakes and things that, and so we had stored all of this stuff. And then, of course, when rationing came along, did I tell you about the ration books for food?
A little bit, yeah.
They had the coupon books, and we, of course, had no priority. So the books they had coupons that were worth 5 points, and I think there was a row of 5 on one page, and then there'd be a row of 5 3s, and then a row of 5 2s, and a row of 5 1s.
Okay.
And there'd be different pages. I don't know how many pages in the book, but each person had their own book. So there were 5 of us in our family, and with what Mom reported everything they had, and we had enough stored food where they would have taken they only took the top 5 coupons. They left us the 3, the 2s, and the 1s.
Okay.
So we could still buy a few things.
Mhm.
But we had enough declared goods where they were supposed to take the next 3 booklets that we would be issued.
Oh,
We'd use up 1 booklet, and then I don't know how many months it would be that you could use 1 booklet. I don't know. But they never did take out any more 5 coupons from us. So we were able to get more food. I mean, like buying things like sugar, and that was certainly a ration thing.
Yeah.
Buying shoes.